Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Mill Creek Explained. We're at the moto fence here, so that can only mean one thing, and that's that we're doing Methane Alley. Before Terps, before Blackhawk, there was Methane Alley, one of the longest descents that skirts the fence line of the tip here at Mill Creek. And if you're wondering about the name, just come down here on a summer's day after some rain. Before we get into it, just a shout out to all the new subscribers. Mill Creek Explained has been a bit of a COVID project for me. I've really enjoyed doing it, so it's great to see that other people are enjoying watching it too. There's going to be a few more to come, so like and subscribe and stay tuned. But for now, let's get into it. Methane Alley has three key pedaling sections, and this is the first. Get on the gas and then feel out the grip in the first couple of corners. The first part of the trail we're going to break down is what I call the bike park section. Starts with this small double here, also easily rolled, and then it splits off from where the trail used to go, which is down along the fence line, and it goes right into a newer section of track. We've recently rebuilt this jump, so it used to be a left to right hip. Now it's just all on the right and it's been built back up. The B line's on the left and then A line obviously on the right there. Next section's a series of rollers. You just pump these through and then try and hit the left berm as quickly as possible. There's not too much to watch out for in this section, but this corner here can cause a little bit of trouble if it's super dry, as it gets sandy and loose. So just ride to the conditions as much as possible. There is a lot of support, like most of the berms on this trail, so if you trust it and you have your technique right, push into the berm, it should be there for you even if it is a bit sandy. This is the second pedaling section, which is also the flattest, making it the most crucial to getting a good time down here. And watch out for your pedals on the rocks. The next section we're going to look at is midway down the trail. It's got the hip jump, cuts into the woods and goes through a bit more of a rhythm section. This corner here, it's got a fair bit of support. There's always loose stuff like little pine cones from this tree. So if you're at all inside, it can be quite risky to slide with the front wheel. Also, if you're going quite fast, you get the same thing. So try and set up as high as possible, hit the hip. It's actually a really nice jump, and that'll set you up for the next section. If you're not doing this jump, just pumping it as a roller, you'll get plenty of speed for the next section as well. This section's changed a bit and has caught a few people out because there are some new rollers in place to tackle some of the drainage issues that we had. So this is the first one here. They are getting better, but they're a little severe at first, and I think some people maybe weren't expecting them and had a bit of trouble. So come in here, lift the front wheel just to unweight and pump the backside into that corner, and you should be carrying really good speed. And you can see how well it's working. It rained the other day. You can see down in that drain that it's still actually quite wet, the sand. All of that water would have previously washed into the berm, and as we know, the old berm was quite damaged by the time it was rebuilt. After the berm, there's another piece of drainage here, another roller, so you can build back up any speed if you lost it before the two doubles after here. So one roller, two roller, and then you'll be into the next jump. And you really shouldn't have to pedal if you've hit all this section well. Cool, so this section finishes with two optional doubles. You can roll through the middle if hitting them isn't for you, but again, they're fairly short and they're quite safe. This one has a bigger takeoff on the right, so you can kind of hip it right to left, and then the next one goes left to right or left to middle or just left and straight. The higher edge of that one is on the left there. This section finishes with these two large rollers, and they're quite important for keeping speed into the next flat section, which is the third key pedaling section of this trail. final pedaling section has a bit more shape, and you can pump the rollers for extra speed. The final section that we're going to look at is some berms that lead into a step down, corner, and then finish with the last rock garden. So here is the first berm here. Rocky, lots of support. To get an optimal time, you probably want to death grip it, get your braking done here, off the brakes, pretty much for the remainder of the trail. The next berm here is more of the same, plenty of support, really nice bank to it, no trouble staying off the brakes. Then we'll come into a couple of rollers where you can build some extra speed over this one, and then the final one leads to the step down. So let's go have a look at that. Okay, here it is, the optional step down. So for advanced riders that want to hit it, the higher right you go, the higher you'll go. You are landing in rocks, bear that in mind. B-line will be on the left there. I would personally try and still go down the, there's a branch in the way. I would personally try and go down the rocks here rather than running out into that rut there, as it's quite loose. There's a few edges there and it's pretty close to the fence as well. But I think you'll be fine either way. Even just rolling over and squashing this is a pretty fine way to go, and there's not a severe drop on the other side. See, it's super rocky through here. I have flatted through here multiple times, so be aware of that. Then that leads into another rocky double here. So optional takeoff on the left, again landing on the rocks or out on the dirt there. B-line just down the middle again into the corner. The double obviously sets you up a bit better for the final corner. Another rocky berm, much like the other two, you want to be off the brakes as much as possible. Just trust the grip you've got. Nice big sandstone boulders, pretty smooth actually considering it's made of rock, and that'll fire you out to the last rock garden. Okay, this is where actually Methane Alley ends. So end of Methane Alley to do methane return, you go there, it cuts right up. Alternatively, there's a trail along here, which I think is called High Tech. Might be wrong about that, which you can take over to the rock roll, which we've featured previously. Most people, I suspect, head down the rock garden here to Toxic Flow, and it's a pretty gnarly rock garden. You can definitely come in too fast. There's not too much in the way of line choice here. There's probably a tight line where you could straighten it up. I think that's my tires out there from a run. I tend to just hit the dirt, try to unweight over these rocks as much as possible, and then regain composure in the next bit. This guy here is quite off camber. You can see someone's skidded through that line there, which seems like a pretty safe way to do it. This guy's a bit off camber. You do kind of risk being blown wide if you are too wide here. That's why I try and square up on this piece of dirt, so I've got a perfect line up for whatever happens, because you will get rattled around through here. Not much to this section other than holding on. And then for the last bit of this rock garden, you can either take a pretty safe line down there. Just watch your wheel on that crack if you are rolling down. You either want to be right or left on the big slab. Or what I do is I come down, I go off the edge of the rock here, gap onto that big slab, and then again, try not to flat in that rocky mess down there, because there are some sharp edges. And if you've watched my Levo SL video, that's where I got a flat tire. Here's just a better look at some of those edges. There's a pretty gnarly one there. I seem to always hit one on the way out as well. I don't think there's too many ways to smooth this section out, but if you know them, let me know in the comments. And that's Methane Alley explained, a trail where you really do get out what you put in. To finish, here's that top to bottom run without any interruptions. We'll see you again in a few weeks for the next installment, and don't forget to give the thumbs up to this video and subscribe so you don't miss out.